Hello, welcome to the Rangers Rabble, the pre-match pod for the Battle of Dundee. We've got a few changes in the lineup, but we'll go through that in a minute. We are joined today, cracking lineup as always on the Rabble. We've got Scotty, the English Scotty, the Scottish Scotty, and Brian. Scott Kerr and Brian. How are we doing, gents?
Good, mate.
All right. I don't know whether to be insulted by that label of English Scottish.
I usually call him Kerr, but when I'm like introducing you, I look at your name tags, and he's not got Care on his name tag, so it just threw me off for a second. Right, let's get straight into it, shall we? Welcome to everyone in the chat. Please like, subscribe, share it to someone if they don't already watch. It really helps the pod and the algorithms on YouTube, especially liking and subscribing. Afternoon to Aldo. Got a few of the regulars in as usual. Nicholas Moore. Right, onto the team. Banner up at the bottom. John McLaughlin in goal. Back four of Tav, Goldson, Davies, and Barisic. Lundstrom and Jack in that sort of midfield two with Tillman, I imagine, in front of them. Sakala and Kent, and then Colak up top. I guess we'll start from the back, Scotty. I'll come to you first. John McLaughlin in. Was that a surprise for you?
Yes, a little bit, because I'm looking at McGregor's record and his shot to save ratio, and it's absolutely abysmal, right? And I look at the Old Firm game, and we've had 2 shots on target against us and conceded 2 goals, and it's not really at fault. But actually, I look at his overall performance, and I actually thought he commanded his area a lot better than he usually does. So I thought he would have had a bit more grace, because when you consider the thinking, or what I think the rationale behind McLaughlin coming in is the fact that he does tend to come off his line a little bit more. However, I don't think he comes off his line as much as people think he does. I don't think he's actually that commanding. I think it's because McGregor's been that bad, it makes McLaughlin look good. That said, I suppose the proof is in the pudding, and we'll see over the next 90 minutes.
Definitely. Davies, I was sending team news on Lowry and McCann. I mean, I believe, is McCann still knocking about in the B team at the moment? I'm not sure what's going on with Lowry. Seems to be just in and out. I don't know if he's picking up little knocks or what, but unless Bill has said anything else, I haven't seen anything just yet. We've also got DR Rebus or Diabus, depending on how you want to look at it. £5 donation, thank you so much. Stu hosting and the dream team. It's the dream team that helped me more than anything, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, Kev, like Scotty said there with McLaughlin, I mean, imagine most teams probably in our league, especially try to target McGregor maybe with deep crosses, set pieces. Do you think that's along the line of Bill's thinking, or do you think that when McLaughlin had to come in, he didn't really do anything wrong? And like Scotty said, I mean, McGregor's save percentage is very low, although I don't think he had a bad game against us. I don't think he had any chances with the 2 goals that went in.
I thought against Aberdeen, McGregor wasn't too clever. Last week, I agree with Scotty. I thought he was more commanding, came out for what he had to deal with, and the 2 goals he can do nothing about. I had a feeling, I know the other night, Greg said that he thought McLaughlin would put. I just think if he put him today, it's because of next week as well, because he's another cup keeper, so I think maybe he's put him before that. But to be honest with you, either the 2 of them in, they'll make it. Both of them can make mistakes and both can pull off saves. So it's 6 or half a dozen for me. It doesn't really matter who's in goal. We still need a new keeper.
Yeah, 100%. Any credence to the Cantwell rumours? He's not in the Norwich team today, but he's only been in one of the previous 6 Norwich teams. So I don't know how much you can read into that. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But I think with the likelihood of Bill speaking to 3 players, that they probably are going to be coming from England. So it could very well be a possibility. Where am I? God, I'm completely lost. I'm trying to squeeze everything in because we've only got 25 minutes now. Brian, we'll move on then slightly from the team. Goldson and Davies, another sort of game for them to sort of just increase this centre-back partnership that's really starting to look good. I know we sort of conceded 2 shockers at the weekend, but I don't think that was either of their fault. The weekend? Yeah, last week. I don't think either of them was their fault. Obviously, it was Tad mistake and probably Jack not putting the ball out for the second one. How important do you think these 2 are going forward? Not just this season, next season as well, and how much time they get together now?
Absolutely. I mean, I've always been an advocate of the defence, keeping the same as much as possible to get continuity and build up relationships. I've never liked this chopping and changing in defence. I've always been a big advocate of keeping the back five as the same as much as possible. Considering our sort of positional woes at centre half, it's nice to see 2 games in a row where we've had the same centre half, so that's a bonus. And obviously the news that Suter's back in normal training is good. So yeah, it seems to be a position now we're going to be overflowing with all of a sudden, considering we only had 0 centre halves because there was one game where we had nobody. So no, it's a bonus that we're actually going to be over flooded with centre halves soon.
Yeah, I've just missed the comment if I can find it, guys. Nisbet actually got a hat trick today, so don't know if you flicked off a little bit early, and Doke's got man of the match to go. I think we probably have to go for a striker at some point with the talk around Morelos and stuff like that. But we'll say that'll be like tomorrow, and on the recap and that they'll have a massive old pod for you to talk about that. Scotty, James Tavernier, was there any chance, even despite a couple of the errors recently, and him not even looking 100%? Fitness wise, was there any argument today for Devine to come back in, or are you expecting Tav to be trusted to sort of play his way through this sort of bad spell?
Interesting to call it a bad spell. I mean, this spell seems to be going for a long period of time. It seems that we have the same recurring argument around Tav, or the same discussion around Tav, as what he brings going forward. Does it actually negate what happens at the back? I think up until recently, he's polished off his performances, and I know he was susceptible to, or he was the one of the contributing causes to the first goal at the weekend. I don't think you can really punish him on that, because let's face it, that was a collective. You can point at Lundstrom, Morelos, and Tav collectively at that goal. It was just, for every individual error, you can't just bomb someone out of the team. I think where performances haven't been up to his high standard, they still have been average or thereabouts. So for a consistent player and a player at right back with his contribution to the overall team, yes, we are expecting more because it's James Tavernier and he's our captain. I think we need to recognise he's also one of 11 players on that team. And is Adam Devine going to come in and actually be better than Tav? Absolutely no way. You know what? Adam Devine in the future could be a long-term replacement for Tav. I have my reservations whether that is actually a feasible thing. But at the moment, Tav is the best option at right back. Whether he makes a mistake every now and again or not, actually what he didn't get credit for, or I haven't seen really many people get credit for, was actually he made quite a few really important back post clearances, headers during that Old Firm game, and he did a lot of good stuff during that game as well as score. So yes, he made one error. Yes, he seems to be not necessarily but almost a scapegoat. But I wouldn't take him out. I mean, we know what he can bring to the table. We know, like, for example, that penalty, he steps up for that penalty. We are confident that he's got the composure to put that away. And, you know, what a penalty there was. And I want him on the pitch. I think he's a fantastic influence on the pitch. So, yeah, that hopefully that answers the question.
Yeah, not too bad. I mean, I think you're right. It's a very small sample size we have right now on Adam Devine, and that sample size really has come from left back. So it's going to be a while, I think, until we see what he can really do at right back, and we don't want to just start chucking players in just because someone's playing bad and sort of start stunting their growth as well. It's, you know, sometimes too much football too early can be a bad thing. I don't think there's any argument with Barisic. I think he's done that okay since he's come back, and there's not really any option there. The midfield two, Lundstrom and Jack. Is this sort of, you could have picked any of these three with Kamara? Like it was just who did he find? I thought Jack might come back in, to be honest, because the week before. So do you think that was just the case? Obviously, Lundstrom had maybe not a great first half against Celtic, but he looked a lot better until he came off with the injury.
Yeah, I think the other two, he's went for the two. I think Kamara's been put in injury as well, didn't he? So I think all three's had problems recently, and I think it's probably the other fittest here too. But I still feel at times we don't need two holders. I know one can go forward, one can go forward, Jack can go forward, one can sit. But you look at United's midfield, they don't get any holding midfielders in it. Do you know what I mean? We have. So I just think when you play as a unit, somebody, if you know how to, you know when to sit and when to break, when to defend, when to drop back, when to get behind the ball when you're defending, that's enough for me. You don't need to be a defensive mid, and then you play. People pinpoint too much to positions a day. Like he's an 8, he's a 10. Listen, see if you can play and you can create and you can score and you can defend and you can influence a team and you can make a difference. You play. It doesn't matter what position people say you play. That's just me. I just by football play by footballer. I don't go and put in holes just because they play that position. So maybe I'm just a bit older than the rest of these, but that's just the way I think it is. And somebody said I'm at a disco. No, I've not put the lights on yet. I'm not long in. I've just put it on. So playing lights behind me. I've only got 2 dogs here, and none of them can reach the light switches, I'm afraid.
Do you think maybe that with Bill coming back in, Bill's obviously a very attacking manager. Do you think maybe the reason for these two sort of midfielders that can sit is because he now wants Tavernier and Barisic to be so much further up the pitch, and we need those sort of covering players like we used to under Gerrard?
Yeah, it might be. And even then, you only maybe need one. I mean, you don't need 2, but maybe that's where he wants to go. Because we get more from Tavernier and Barisic when they're further up the park. We all know that because that's their strengths. And you just have to people slag both them off for defensive errors, and we probably get a right to slag them off for that. But you look at what they offer offensively, and then you look at other teams who, like Trent Arnold-Liverpool, fantastic footballer, but the boy struggles defensively as well. But you wouldn't say to him, I'm not playing you at full back because you can't defend, because you know what he offers the other side of the game. And that's what Tav gives us. So sometimes you just have to take it good with the bad at times. If Tav is better defensively, you're probably going to beat us, put it that way.
Yeah, 100%. Return of the batch. I feel like I haven't seen the batch in ages on it. £4.49. Thank you so much.
What a photo that is. Oh.
I hope he never changes it, to be honest. It makes me smile every time I see it. But yeah, thank you, John. It's really, really appreciated. As always, absolute Hall of Famer is the batch. Brian, a few positions next that I didn't think I'd be saying this so quickly after Bill coming in, but it's almost like the next 3, Tillman, Sakala and Kent, I mean, could maybe argue they're undroppable at the moment, all 3 of them.
Yeah, it's again, it's much like the sort of the defensive side. We're actually getting a bit of continuity in the sort of forward areas as well. I mean, Sakala purely terrifies defenders when he goes at them. They don't know he doesn't know what he's going to do, but they don't know either. So it's a bit like the Ted McMinn man all over again. He didn't know what he was going to do, and neither did the defenders. So, and Kent's starting to look more the old Kent like we used to know. He had a good game at Aberdeen, and he scored a goal against that lot at the weekend. So, he's starting to look a bit more comfortable. He's getting the freedom that he can roam about the pitch, drop deep if he wants, and go switch sides. I noticed the switch sides at the weekend as well. So it's nice to see Kent getting a bit of freedom and dictating a bit more. And he's obviously been wanting to do that instead of being stuck on the sideline all the time.
Yeah, and Scotty, before I come to the number 9, the one I sort of do want to talk about, I want to sort of stay with Kent a little bit. What's been your sort of opinions on Kent in this sort of new, I guess more of a free role he has under, and just before I do that, look at this, another £5 donation. Desmond, thank you so much. I'm not sure. Oh my God, they're all flying in. I can't keep up now. I'm not sure I've seen Desmond's name pop up too often, but he is a subscriber. So thank you very much, Desmond. Really, really appreciate that. And Heather in as well. All the Rabble pod guys look at that stock. Hey, that's an idea, isn't it? That is a great idea. The Batch Rabble calendar. Don't mind that at all. But thank you very much, guys. Really, really, really appreciate them. Yeah, Scotty, just on Kent. I mean, this sort of free role he has under Bill. He seems to switch positions at times. One thing I noticed is now he does go at players a lot more. Even if he loses the ball, he's ready to take the ball back and go at them again. Which I think he was the one player I felt most under Gio that you could almost see the shackles on him at times when he had the ball.
Yeah, I'm sorry. My mind's just firmly on that calendar, and you perhaps holding a football somewhere, or I don't know. We just have a moment to think about that.
We'll have to get it done. We have to get it done.
Yeah, speak to Martin. Do you know what, Ken? I said this, and it was going back to the Champions League games when I think we were getting beat left, right, and centre, and Kent was getting slated. And I was looking at Ryan Kent. I was like, there is no way Ryan Kent wants to play like this. There is absolutely none. Ryan Kent is a player that does not hide. He's never hidden. He's always come to the big games, and he's always been the first to put his head on the chopping block, take the ball, take players on, make something happen, does the dirty work, runs defensively, presses really well. And we saw that on the Old Firm game. He scored an absolute worldie. Under Gio, as you rightly said, he's playing on the left-hand side, and you can tell. Like, even goes back to that whole clip, and we've said it time and time again from Roy Mackay saying tricks are for the circus. That's going to destroy a player whose whole ethos is based on fun, creativity, attacking play. That's it. That's him. That's it. And then they've told him to stay on the left, just hug the touchline or whatever. You're stifling a player that absolutely loves to get involved. And Michael Beale will know Ryan Kent. Steve obviously knew Ryan Kent and knew what was best. Yeah, predominantly probably start at 11 as a left winger. But how many times did we see him either pick up the ball on the left and come in centrally, or pick up the ball centrally? Remember that goal against Aberdeen, where he's picked up the ball centrally, took it past one man, he's hit the ball from 30 yards, albeit deflection, it had gone in. That's how dangerous Ryan Kent is. That's what Ryan Kent can offer. And what we've seen over the past five or so games is a return to that. It's going to take a while before he's up to speed, but we're actually starting to see him returning, not just with confidence, but actually with the will and the drive to make a difference. I'm excited to see him play again. I absolutely love Ryan Kent. I'm desperate to see him sign a new deal, whether he's with us for the next 5 years or even just one more year. I reckon under Mick Beale, we're going to see the very, very, very best of him. And I'm excited. And I just hope he's with us long enough for us to actually enjoy it. And I'm expecting, and this is another thing as well, his goal contribution has always been there, whether it's an assist. He hasn't really scored many goals, but he's still had one of the highest assist rates in the league, as well as if you take into the account the amount of chances he actually creates that are strikers or other players in the team haven't actually converted. His numbers would be sky high. So yeah, I absolutely, thanks for asking me. I absolutely love the guy. Ryan Kent is excited to see him play. He's one of our best players.
Yeah, completely agree. And it looks like the batch completely agrees as well. But I think he's just doing it so we can see the picture again, personally. But really, really, really appreciate it again, John. As always, thank you so much. Means a great deal to everyone here. Ken, I just want that. So I'll just stay with this, and then we'll dedicate the last sort of 5-6 minutes to Colak. Just staying on Kent, Scotty talked about how he was hugging the left touchline a lot under Gio, which was the case. I think someone put up, there was a graphic about the passes that Kent receives, and under Gio it was predominantly just all out on the left, and just in this sort of 5-6 game period under Beale, it's been all over the pitch. But one thing that is so key about Kent is obviously he can go outside or inside, but this going inside, especially with the attacking fullbacks, it opens up so much room for Barisic to get down. And I feel like we're already seeing the sort of fruits of that when Barisic is delivering some of the crosses he's put in, and the one from Morelos a couple of weeks ago. So it's so key that you give, I guess, creative players license to be creative.
You have to, because if you don't, like Scotty said, you suffocate them, and then they become. No, I'm not saying disinterested, but they feel like they've been told to do a certain thing, but they don't want to. I don't want to do it. They feel like, why? Because they can offer so much more, so they get frustrated, and they go through the motions. It's not like I'm not trying, but they're going through the motions because they know if they make a mistake, they'll get lambasted. Or if they go inside, the manager saying, "No, you want you to get your boots with chalk in the touchline," stuff like that. So plus with the fullbacks not getting by when we played under Gio, that didn't help either, because you know yourself, if Barisic goes by Kent, it takes a defender away, so it opens up for Kent as well, or Barisic. And I don't know, that's just obviously Gio's style. It will work with other players, but our players were used to playing another way, and sometimes he as well keeping the same system. Different manager, but keep the same system because the players are used to it. And you see what Ryan's like when he's got a free roll. Ryan can go left or right. And even against Aberdeen, he never scored. But the shot he done come off the keeper and Scott Arfield was there. So it's just stuff like that. He's willing to take a shot more now. He's getting inside. He's going outside. He keeps things simple, he does, but he's playing more triangles as well. So he passes it and he moves. And sometimes he's that intelligent. He knows the defender's going to move, so he stands still, receives it back, and then goes again. So Ryan Kent's enjoying his football. I'm like Scotty. If he even gave us 1 more year, I'd be delighted because I want Ryan to stay. Because I think if he gave us 1 more year and saying another deal, we could sell him for money to help the club. But I just want him to stay. Out of any player we've got just now, Ryan Kent's the one I want to stay.
Yep. Yeah, 100%. Mel needs some. I don't know if this means get someone on maybe from the ladies' team because obviously we've got Bride and Wilf. They cover the ladies' teams as well. So I'm assuming that's going to mean we need to get someone on to actually speak about them that isn't part of the Rabble, which would be a great idea if it is. Brian, on to the main sort of talking point then of the team. Antonio Colak is back. He'd seemed to pick up this sort of, I don't know, was it a strain? I can't remember what they said it was now. But we've obviously missed his goals. We haven't even seen Colak under Bill yet, so it's going to be very interesting to see. What are you expecting? Because if I'm completely honest, and I know Morelos is unfit, he looks unfit. But I don't think Morelos has been that bad under Bill, to be honest. I know Scotty's going to make this. I think he's been fine. I actually think he's been fine. I think if you could get him into shape, you may get something out of him. Maybe that won't happen because we'll sell him before then. But I don't think he's been horrendous or anything like that. So what are you expecting from Colak today?
Well, what I'm expecting, which Morelos doesn't give us a bit more movement. Morelos just, unless the ball's near him, he's just kind of not interested in even chasing it down remotely. Watched him a lot this. I mean, he's got lucky a couple of times this season where the balls just fell to him and he's scored. But Colak gives you a little bit more, like certainly as I say, chasing the ball down. But not only that, if he's going to get the ball in the box, he's going to pretty much score because he's obviously to me the more deadly out of the two. But no, for me it's just movement and even chasing down like defenders. You can see Colak doing that, even though he knows he's probably not going to get to the ball. He at least makes the effort and tries, to make the defender's life a bit difficult. But I've just felt for long enough that Morelos just trudges around and just, I don't know, he just saunters around, and if the ball's not near him, he's frankly not interested, and that's not what we need, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I mean, it's fair, but I know. Sort of, I'll come to Scotty then because I see he sort of looked a bit shocked when I said that, but I think. Even Morelos closing down Hart and nearly winning the ball off him, I think that G'd the team up. That almost got us going, I think, in the old
Listen, Stu, if he's not going to do that in an Old Firm game, then, yeah, he's done as a footballer, let alone as a Rangers player. Right, so do not pat someone on the back for doing the bare minimum. Like, I'm totally done. Look at the shape he's in. It is disgusting. It's disgraceful. It's an absolute embarrassment. And it's insulting to every single non-paying Rangers fan that watches Rangers play. The fact that he cannot be bothered to get himself in shape in January, when he's had weeks off and he could be down the gym, instead, no, he's more than happy posting on Instagram, posing, having a few beers. Fine, you do that. Just don't do it at the detriment of us, the football club. Now, Brian is absolutely spot on in what he said, analysing his game. Unless it's in and around him, he's absolutely not interested. Mm-hmm. And that is an absolute disgrace. And he has got lucky. And do you know what? If he was in half the shape that he should be in, he should have scored 2 goals at the Old Firm game. And Colak would have scored them. Why? Because he looks after himself. He's a bit, I don't know if he's a model pro, but he seems like a model pro. He seems like a guy that takes care of himself. Yes, he's very handsome. He takes care of his hair. He's got standards. So, as far, I'm so done. I'm almost completely done talking about Morelos because I had such high hopes. We should be talking about Morelos as a guy that we signed as a 20-year-old for £1 million who should be sitting on a couple of hundred appearances with a couple of hundred goals. The boy has serious talent. He's got the physicality. He's got the coaching ability, but he just hasn't worked on his game. He is nowhere where he should be in terms of his ability as a footballer. He has stagnated because it feels like his priorities lie elsewhere.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you can argue with a lot of that. I mean, you know, people are saying he's carrying an injury, which I think Theo has touched on. I think part of Scotty's point there is, and obviously we disagree slightly.
Can I just pick up, right, this one? Alfie's body type. I know he's not an Ethiopian. I know he's built like a buffalo. He's a big boy. I'm a big boy. I've been slim. I'm currently quite big, but I'm not as big as Morelos. Right? He is seriously overweight. Stop making excuses for him. Stop it. He's a disgrace.
Scotty's told you there, everyone. I think. Oh, God, I'm trying to get these things off. Yeah, so I think what I do agree with it, as I say, I don't think he's actually been that. I think there's been parts of the game that have been okay, but I do agree that he does look completely out of shape at the moment, and he's always sort of been that bigger guy, like people are saying, but not to the degree he is right now. He's someone said there, he looked very lean when he joined. He did look lean when he joined, and when players bulk up, you expect him to be a bit bigger. Some players are a bit bigger, but not to the degree he doesn't move the same way he used to. That is something I do completely agree with.
He wears a sports bra now.
Well, I can't confirm that. So, well, we'll end it there, though, because we have to keep loads in for the after show, and I want to get everyone to get ways to grab their beers and that for the game because it kicks off in 4 minutes. So I'll just end with a score prediction and a first goal scorer, starting with Scotty, and everyone else, please chuck them in the comments, and I'll bring some up. Score prediction and first goal scorer, Scotty.
4-0 Kent.
4-0 Kent. Care?
4-2 Colak.
4-2. No faith in the defence. What about you, Brian?
3-0 Colak.
3-0 Colak. I think Nicholas said this earlier. Bring it up now. 3-0 Colak. Cammy's gone 4-0 Colak. Everyone's excited for Colak being back, you can tell. 4-0 Tillman. 3-1 Tab. Few people going 3-0 Colak seems to be the consensus at the moment. Oh, I'm not sure about this one. Mikel.
I'll take it.
Yeah, I'll take it, but my heart can't keep taking these close games. 1-0 Kent. Again, another one going really close. 5-0 Tillman. That's more like it. That's what I want.
I think what we've got to remember today as well
is Scotty. Wow, the Scotty.
I think what we've got to remember as well is
there we are, eh?
Yeah. This is going to be a typical Dundee United performance. They're just going to try and lump us all over the place. They won't play much football today, and we're going to find it. I wouldn't say difficult, but we're going to have to be patient for a lot of the game.
Yeah, and we'll end on.
It's key, isn't it?
We'll end on Ian. Penalty train is all I want to hear. Well, let's hope that they can actually see this one, unlike the one last time when Sakala went down. But we will end it there, guys. Thank you very much for joining us. Come back after about 10-15 minutes after the game ends, and we'll be back for the post-match section. I think we've got everyone coming back, so should be a good one. And let's hope we win. Thanks very much.